hope everyone's doing well this week. So this week I thought it would be fun to make a cookie pop-up jar. And it says, no matter how the cookie crumbles, we truly appreciate you. And then you open it up and boop, the cookies pop out. And I just wrote over here, thank you for all you do. And put some cup of hot chocolate down here with some cookies. And then that's the back of it. So there you go. And you can also stand it up and display it like so. Which I love when you can display the card like this. So this week we're going to go over to Design Space again. So come on, let's go on over. Okay guys, now that we're over at Design Space and you have a new canvas pulled up, these are the three things that we are going to be creating today to make our card. So how we're going to get this cookie jar part is we're going to pull up a Google or whatever internet search bar you use. And the reason why I'm not using anything in Design Space is because everybody may not have the same images. It depends on which, if you pay for an access or premium access. So I figured we could do it this way. It's free for everybody if you have a computer or a way to upload an image. So how I got the jar we're going to be using is, let's Google cookie jar black and white image. Okay, and then we're going to hit images. And then if you just scroll down, it's not too far down here. Okay, it's this one right here. And it says cookie jar logo stock vector image. And then I just click on the link over here. And then it pulls it up right here. So click on that again. Now you can either right click it and save the image to your computer. How I like to do it is use my snippet tool that is usually on most computers. It's free. And then I snip the section I want. And you can also do it by saving it to your computer, which we're going to save it this way too. I'm going to name this file save as I'm going to name cookie jar and then hit save. And now let's go back over to Design Space. And we're going to hit upload. And we're going to upload the image. Hit browse. And then we're going to go find the file that we named, which is cookie jar, or whatever you chose to name your And then we have it here. And I like to use complex. If you're better at using the other ones, then I say use that. Then I just put remove all background. And then this, excuse me, is all we have left to remove. So you also can do a preview to see what else needs to be removed too. So what I'm going to do is just go down to the eraser and clean this up. I don't want the flowers, so I'm going to take that away, clean that up, and you can hit preview to see what it's looking like. And I'm going to resize my eraser, clean this up. Hit preview to see if I like it. Okay, this right here, I'll try to get a little bit better. And this is, the nicer we make this, the nicer it will cut when we go to cut this. See preview, see where we're at. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. So once we have what we like, we're going to hit apply and continue. Then we'll want, and if you have something like this, we can just hide that later on our design space, and I'll show you how to do that. So you're going to save the image as a cut image. So I'm satisfied with it. You can rename it if you want to. I'm uploading it now, and here's my new one. Now this was the old one that I did. So once we upload it, there it is. Voila. Now what we're going to do is, see how I have this little speck here? Blow it up a little. Right here. And I don't want that. So I'm going to put my box around it and go over to contour and just click on that little dot, and that will take it away. Okay? Zoom back out. So we have our jar here. What we're going to first do is duplicate this. Okay, and in each one, we're going to get rid of the lid in one and the base in the other. So I'm going to go over to contour, and we're going to hit the lid and hide all of those. And then once it's hid, we'll just have that. Now we need to have a lid. So let's hit contour. Hide everything else. And there we have it. Okay, so once we have these two items, excuse me here, let's go ahead and move the bottom piece aside, and we're going to work on the lid. So we need to fill these in. So let's go over to contour, and we're just going to hit these two pieces, this piece and this piece, and it'll fill it in. Now I'm going to change the color. Let me do purple. Okay, so now we just need to resize it to this lid size over here, because I know that's what will fit in our card. So we're going to do unlock it, our card over here, our top over here, and we are going to make it 4.579. And then we'll tab over, and we're going to make the height 1.316. 1.316. And let's just see. Yep. So the only thing left we have to do with the lid is get us a score line. So let's go to shapes, get a score line. Once it loads, we know this is 1.316 tall. So 1.316. We're going to change the score line to a cut line. Grab both of them, hit align and center, and then attach down at the bottom over here. Now we have that piece done. Now, let's get our bottom, and we need to make this filled in. So go to contour, and we're going to hit the center, and it's all filled in. I'm going to change my color. Now, because our jar is, we cannot get it to go against the edge over here, and just so we know where we're working at for the position, I'm going to position mine at X at 1 and my Y at 1. So I know where I'm working at, okay? Now, once we do that, so the next thing we're going to work on is these little flaps over here. And I just have this lined up here so we can get an idea of where we need to position it. Okay, so let's get a square. And then we're going to change that square. First, unlock your square. We're going to change it to a 1/2 inch by 1.75 inches. And I'm just going to change my color. And then we want to come over here, and this does not have to be exactly where mine is at. You just need it similar. So I'm going to slant it. Let me blow this up. So it's kind of lining up with my jar here. Now we don't want, see how this little bit of white is showing? We don't want any of that showing, or it will not weld together properly. So I'm going to just scooch it in just a little. Okay. So I'm good with that one. So we can, once you have yours lined up, let's duplicate it. Then to make it slant the other way, we can go up to flip and then flip horizontal. Now if we go over here to this tab we put down to make sure it's lined up, we want to position the Y in the exact same spot. So mine is on 2.092. So that's where I'm going to put mine. So wherever yours is at and you lined it up, that's where you need to put yours. Then once I have mine on that, I'm just going to scooch it out here to line it up to this edge. And that looks pretty good to me, so I'm just going to match my Y back up because I've gotten off course again. So if you did, just go back in and correct it. Okay. And then we're going to grab each tab and the jar and hit weld. And you should be all solid right here, all color. If you didn't weld this properly, let me show you what you'll have. So I'm going to weld this so you can get an idea. See, if it's not sitting close enough, you're going to have this, and that means there's going to be a cut line there. So just make sure you get it all the way where there's nothing here. Okay? grab all of mine and let me check to make sure we're matching. Okay. Weld. There we go. Now what we need is our score lines. So let's go get a shape, get a score line. And my jar is 4.635 in height. So let's change that to that. 4.635. And if yours is a little bit bigger, then change it to that. Uh-oh. Then we're going to grab both of them, hit align and center. Now, I don't want to attach this yet because we want 2 score lines here. So I'm going to get another score line. And I know I made this 1 3/4 of an inch long, so I'm going to make that score line that height and height. And then we're just going to line it up the best we can. I'm going to blow this up a little. And this doesn't have to be perfect, guys. So I'm good with that. So I'm going to click on it, duplicate, and then we're going to come over here. Uh-oh, accidentally hit something. Highlight your scored line you just duplicated. Now hit flip, flip horizontal, line it up. And that looks good to me for mine. And so once I have everything here, let's go ahead and grab everything and hit attach. Let me scoot this out. Now we have our jar. And you can see my tabs are not exactly lining up to my last one, and that's okay. It's close enough. So once we have that, I'm going to set this aside. Now we're going to work on our cookies. Now these cookies I have up because these are in design space, but I don't know if everybody has access to all the images, so I figured we could create our own cookie. So let's go to shapes. I'm sorry, images. And once we get in images, we're going to hit free over here on the left hand side. Now I'm just going to look for a shape that looks like a cookie. And you don't have to go with the shape I pick because you'll get the idea of how to make it once we get going. Here we go. I put in free Cricut. I was looking for this one. I like how this is scallop around or whatever this edge is called. So I'm going to click that one. Now what we need to do is find like sprinkles or something to go in our cookie. So I'm going to put free food. Oh, here we go. I like these donuts. We can use the sprinkles on those. Okay, I'm going to just work with that. So I'm going to hit add to my canvas. Now, I have this to use for our guide to see what we need to size our cookie as. So first what we're going to do is get our image if you're using the same one that I got, and I need to contour it because I don't want anything on it. So I'm going to hit hide all. I do like these little dots, like chocolate chips or something. So I'm going to highlight those back. Okay. Now for our donut, let's go ahead and get the sprinkles off the donut. What I'm just going to do is hit those two and just hit duplicate. I'm going to do those 4 and duplicate. And you're just going to start placing them on your cookie however you would like. So now once we have it how we like it, we're just going to go ahead and hide the cookie, and then we're going to grab all of our sprinkles or whatever we chose to do, and then we're going to hit weld. Then once it's welded, let's bring the cookie back up. And then we're going to select it all, and we're going to hit slice. Now we have our little cookie here. Get rid of those. I guess we actually don't need this one. We could hit duplicate and then go hide all the contours. And then we have it. So let's say we want the black brown, and then the top a darker brown, and then we'll send it to the back. Align and center, and there we have our little cookie. Well, it turned out so cute. So now we're going to create this right here. We need our cookies to be no longer than 3 inches long to go across our mechanism. Okay, this one is at 2.946. So this cookie size for this one, let me measure it up to get an idea. Send to the back. I'm gonna change this so it's not the same color. Okay, there you go. So I'm gonna say I made this cookie 1.163 by 1.16. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same to this one. One. Now what we can do is get another one of these, duplicate, duplicate. So we're going to put that one at 0. And then we want to make sure when they're lined up, the Y is at the same number. Okay. Now I'm just inside my 3-inch mark, so I'm gonna make mine just a little bit smaller. And then once you have your cookies stacked like this, so now I'm going to position what we need to do after we get them lined up how we want so we can have the cookies in the sprinkle part in the same part. I'm going to do this one at 2. Position that at 2. Okay. And then the next one I'm going to position at whatever my 1 is at. So, excuse me, 0.869. So we're going to put that at 0.869. And then our Y is going to be on 2. And then our last one, duplicate it again, duplicate. We know our Y is going to be on 2. And then our X, we're going to put, mine is positioned at 1.786. So 1.786. Okay. So now that we have them positioned, we can grab these 3 and hit weld. There we have it. And then we'll grab these 3 and hit weld. And then we have our little cookies for our mechanism part. Isn't that cute? So since we have these, I'm going to move them down here. We don't need them. So now we're going to make the mechanism part. Okay, we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a square, unlock the square, and we're going to make this square 2.25 by 4.5. So 2.25 by 4.5. Change the color. Well, let's do green. Okay, we're going to go get a score line. Once we have the score line, we're going to make it 4.5 inches long. And then we're going to hit both of them and hit align and center. And then put it back on 0. Okay, now we're going to get another score line. Once we have that score line, we're going to make it in height 1.529. Then we're going to rotate it 45 degrees. Then once we rotate it 45 degrees, we need to flip it so it's vertical. So it needs to be slanted this way if yours is not. Excuse me. And then we're going to position the X at 0. And then our Y we're going to position at 3 3/8 of an inch, which is 3.375. And yours should be positioned right there. Then let's click on it, right click and duplicate. Then we're going to flip it horizontal. And then we're going to position it at 1 1/8 of an inch, which is 1.125. And then our Y will be at 3 3/8 of an inch, 3.375. And you should have what it looks like a V and an arrow actually. So once we have that, let's duplicate our score line again. And once we duplicate it, we're going to position the X on 0. And then our Y we're going to position on 2.25, so 2.25. Now I'm going to go get this line that's on our right bottom and duplicate it so I don't have to turn it. And we know the Y is going to be on 2 1/4. And then we're going to position the X on 1 1/8 of an inch. Okay, now that we have this, we need to make our cookie right here. Okay, we cannot do that with the arrows on here. So what we need to do so we can keep it in position is click on your green square and hide it over here in your layers. Then we're going to grab our score lines and we're going to hit group. Okay, then let's hide our score lines and then go back and get our green square that we hid. Okay, now we should have this up. Now because we're going to have an edge right here, we need to move our square out from this side of our canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and scoot it over to 1 for the X. And I'm going to keep my Y at 0. Let's get our bottom of our cookie that we made. And we need to duplicate it because we're going to need another one of these pieces again. And then once we have it, I'm just going to use this one as kind of a guide where we need to position our cookie. Oh, and that's about where we need it. How about that? Okay, so I have mine positioned, and guys, this doesn't have to be exact. You just want it somewhere in the vicinity of where I have it. So I have my X at 0.597 and then my Y at 0.895. And the Y is more important than the X because I'm going to check to make sure my cookies are centered. So I'm going to hit align and center. And now I know it's centered and I know my Y was at 0.895. And once we have this, we can grab them both and hit weld. And then we have our little cookies. Now if we go down here, let me line these up, centered, group. This will lay on top in our card and it'll be perfect to put there. So now what we need to do is go back and get our score lines that we hid, right? So let's go find them. And if you grab them, we know to send this to the back. Guys, if you hear snoring, it is my dog. She is sitting in my chair with me and sleeping. She's a little Yorkie. But now let's grab both of them, align and center. Okay. Now we have both of these, and that's all we need for this. So grab them both, and now we can hit attach. So you should have these 4 pieces. Now that we have our 4 main items, we can move those aside. And now what we need to create is our card base. So let's get a square. And we are going to unlock it and make it 11 by 6 1/4. And then we'll get a score line. We'll change it to 6 1/4. We'll grab both of them, hit align and center, and attach. Now for our pretty paper, I'm going to do one on each side, so I'm going to have a total of 4. And I'm going to size them 5. I'm going to unlock it first. 5 1/4 by 6. So it'll look like that. And we're just going to duplicate this again. And then once we duplicate it, you can grab both of them and then hit duplicate. And then we'll have a total of 4 for each, 1 for each side. And there we have it. Now the only thing left that you need to do is figure out what you're going to put on your card and create that. And I'll meet you back over at my desk and we'll start putting our card together. So let's go. Now that we've gotten everything cut out, we can go ahead and start gluing our pieces together. First, I'm going to work our score line here on our card base. Once we have that on, I'm going to go ahead and put on my pretty paper. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now that we've gotten our pretty pages glued on, let's get our mechanism and our cookie jar. So what we can start doing is scoring and working our lines to our mechanism. So I'm going to fold mine in half first. And I'm going to work this first diagonal line. And then you can turn it and fold it like this. And these, part up here is going to fold down, and this is going to pop out. So now all we have left to do is work these 2 score lines down here. And so there we have it. Now these we're going to use to hold our mechanism in place. If they happen to be touching here on my last card, I didn't fold it right, you can snip these a little if your fold is overlapping each other, okay? But this is how it should be looking. Okay, now once we have this piece, we can go ahead and glue it on. Get our other card here. I glued this approximately from the point here to the bottom of the card. I had 2 1/4 approximately. 2 1/4 inches from this point. So I'm going to measure out like 2 1/4 inches. That's about spot on right there. So I'm going to give mine a little mark. We're not going to see this. So I'm going to fold this over here. This score line in the center, we want to line up with this score line in the center, okay? And then once you have yours lined up, I'm going to fold mine over like so. And we're only going to put glue on this little triangle flap here. So let's do that. And once you have your glue down, just take this side of your card and fold it over. Now I'm going to open mine up. Once we have this side glued down, just on this triangle piece, and then we're going to fold it over. We can fold this over, and if this is coming up instead of a valley fold, just push it down when you go to fold it. And then we have our mechanism. Okay. Now we can take and score our lines on our cookie jar. Now that we have everything worked, you'll line this score line up with this center score line. Okay. And then once you have it lined up, I'm going to put a little glue on mine. Just pick it up and I'm going to fold this flap under. Now, when you do this side, you want to make sure everything is laying flat and lined up. And if you want, you can put a little piece of tape down and make sure everything is working properly. I'm okay with that. I like how my cookies are coming out. I'm going to take my painter's tape up. Now just a reminder again, this needs to be laying flat when you go to glue this piece on. Okay. I'm going to put my glue down. Now that we have this done, what we can go ahead and do is I'm going to put my cookies on here. And all we're going to do is line them up to match. So there's our cookies. I guess it would have been better if I would have waited to put our cookie jar on, but that's all right. There it is. Isn't that cute? Now what we can do is get our lid. And for our lid, what you're going to do is each side of your lid that we cut will go on each side of the score line, okay? Now what I did, because I didn't like this piece showing, once I figured out where my lid needed to go, I marked and then cut this little piece off here. So I'm going to mark a little line to know where I need to place mine. And then I'm going to glue just in the area that needs glue. Okay, now all we need to do is glue our other side on. You need to keep in mind too when you're putting your piece on that it's not going over the top here. Now this is totally up to you. I don't like that you can see through the card right there. So I just cut me a little scrap of, it's It's going to be purple. And then I've creased it in the middle. And then I line it up on the back like so. And then snip off what's not needed. And I'm gonna glue it right here on the back, like so, on each side of my lid. And there you have it. Give it a second to dry. Now what we can do is go decorate and then come on and come back, okay? Okay guys, so this is my finished card. And this just says, fun fact, if you eat cookies fast enough, Fitbit thinks you're running. And I just thought that was too funny. And then I added some stack of cookies down here. And then of course you open it up. I added some more cookies here on my cookie jar. And then I put, just hoping to bake your day brighter. And this little girl with 2 cookies in her hand running, I thought was something cute to add. Yeah, and there we can have it where it just pops up so nicely. And then of course our back, and I think I'm going to add a place to write a message over here. But there you have it guys, we did it. I just want to say thanks for crafting with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.